Hey, Chica! Welcome to the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast, the show where women share their personal power tools, the techniques, strategies, and ways of being which have enabled their business and life success. I'm your host, Lovelda Vincenzi, a female speaker mentor, speaker, and event host on a mission to unleash authentic, powerful female voices onto the world. In today's episode, we'll be uncovering the power tools of Dr. Cheryl Wood. Dr. Cheryl is an international motivational speaker, 11 times best-selling author, leadership expert, and master speaker development coach for women. She teaches women the power of owning their story and unleashing the power of their voice. Dr. Cheryl has trained women leaders across the US and as far as South Africa, India, France, the United Kingdom, and the Bahamas. She empowers women leaders to get out of their comfort zone, courageously take risks, and create a living legacy with their voice. Dr. Cheryl has been featured on ABC, Forbes magazine, Huffington Post, Essence, Black Enterprise, Fox News 5, and numerous other media outlets. She has delivered keynote presentations for a host of large and small organizations, including NASA, the FBI, the United Nations, the National Association of Legal Professionals, Verizon, PR News, and the Congressional Black Caucus, to name just a few. This episode is pure realness, full of laughter, giggles, and actionable steps that will get you propelling yourself out into the world, regardless of where you are today. Now remember, all of the links shared in today's show can be found in the show notes. And the only way to make sure that you get your regular fix of this show is to hit that subscribe button to make sure that you get updates as soon as a new episode is added. Now, that is more than enough from me for now. Shall we go jump into the show with Dr. Cheryl? Hey, Chicas. Welcome back to the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. You better believe we're going to be going deep today. I'm so excited. You know when you meet somebody and they've got like a similar vibing energy to you, and you just know that what's going to come next is going to be some little bit of crazy and a lot of fun. So my guest today... Well, firstly, y'all, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you know what I'm going to say, right? You just know it. I say it every show. Like, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the button. Hit the button, boo-boo. Anyhow, okay, before I go off on a crazy old tangent. So, like I was saying, today we're going to be talking speaking. We're going to be talking sales. We're going to be talking visibility. We're literally going to be talking about y'all ladies who be sitting back, thinking or stuck or wondering how on earth you're going to get your business up and running and shaking and va-va-vooming. My guest today, she don't take no prisoners. This is not a trial run, peeps. This is what I'd like to say. This is not a dress rehearsal. This woman is all about this is life, and we're going to do it. So please welcome to the show today, Dr. Cheryl Wood.
That's like my own applause in the background. Okay, so first of all, you're hilarious. Like, I was holding in my laughter because I didn't want to mess up your intro. So it's going to be juicy. I already know. It's going to be so juicy and so good. We're probably going to have more fun than the people listening, but they can join in if they want.
I mean, they should be listening and having fun. I mean, by now I'm anticipating like that TV program that was on in the background. It's off. Yeah. I'm gonna write this blog while I listen into the show. That ain't happening today, boo. This is a show packed full of insights and crazy, both.
I'm your girl. When you said crazy, I was like, oh yeah, yep, she got the right one.
It's gonna be a little bit of both. So we're in kind of similar fields. So international speaking, like bada bing, bada boom, all over the world. Really out there, kind of working with women. Firstly, what got you into this field? Was it always this? Did Cheryl just wake up one morning and she was like,
wake up like this?
Mm-hmm.
No, I am not Beyonce.
You didn't wake up like, this is my life. I didn't wake up like this. Oh, okay.
No. You know what? I always say speaking actually found me. I didn't find it, but it found me because I was in movement. I was in motion. towards something different. So I actually worked in corporate America for 15 years as a legal secretary. I don't even know how I did that for 15 years because everything about my personality says, girl, you should be running your mouth somewhere and getting paid really, really well for it. So I don't know. I just think we do what we know how to do because it's comfortable. And until we're willing to interrupt our norm, we will never allow ourselves to be in a space where we are able to discover the thing we're born to do. So speaking found me because I interrupted my norm back in 2009. I said, all right, look, I want freedom. I want time freedom. I want financial freedom. I want creative freedom. And I am not getting that on this job. So I got to do something I've never done before. So I actually kickstarted a business, and it wasn't speaking. It was a t-shirt business. It was a mommy t-shirt business called Moms Are the Best. And I kept my full-time gig as a secretary. And on the weekends, I'd go to these events, I'd set up a little vendor table, and I'd sell these mommy t-shirts. Because of that, 18 months later, I get a call one day from somebody who's representing Morgan State University up in Baltimore. And they're like, hey, we heard about this t-shirt business. We want you to come to our women's conference and teach other moms and women in the Baltimore community how to start their own business. Guess what I did? I burst out laughing, and I was like, clearly you have dialed the wrong number. I had no experience, like none, zero, zilch. I didn't feel qualified, but it was something that was pulling me. And I was like, girl, you owe it to yourself to say yes. Like, you got to say yes more than you say no, because you don't know what the yes is going to lead to. And so the yes led to me speaking at Morgan State University. It was September 18th, 2010. I remember it like yesterday. My palms were sweating. My heart was racing. I was so nervous. And then I just reminded myself, girl, just get up here and be you. Don't try to be anybody else. Teach what you know. Do what you do. Be you. And it was on that day that I discovered I was born to speak. And as they say, the rest is history.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's it.
I'm a sound effects girl, in case you didn't know. There's loads more where that came from too. I love what you say about this idea that, like, okay, so you say you're a legal secretary and people will look at you like, really? I did a degree in accounting and financial management. You should watch people's faces drop when they hear that. They're like, really? Yes, peeps, I thought I was going to be an accountant. I genuinely did. I was, like you, was not born to be doing those. I mean, I have a brain for maths. It didn't light me up, or as one of my dear friends like to say, it's like it didn't give you a lady boner. It was like, oh, what?
That's a good one too. I like that.
Yeah, you got Simone Hang to like thank for that one. She's like, does it give you a lady boner? I was like, girl, I ain't never heard nobody refer to it like that before, but I know what you mean. So you had the t-shirt business. Yep. I'm guessing you're not selling those t-shirts anymore.
Heck to the no. No. I couldn't wait to pack up my boxes and never have to unpack 40 different t-shirts and 40 different slogans ever again in 40 different sizes from a size 0 to a 4X. Heck no. It was a start. It was great. It got my feet wet as an entrepreneur. In hindsight, it taught me so many of the things that I was able to transfer into my current speaking business. Like it taught me how to speak up and have an elevator pitch, because I had to talk to the people who came to the table. I had to master that. It taught me how to hear the word no and not be crushed from the word no. No, I'm not going to buy it. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next person. It taught me how to network effectively, because half the times the events that I went to, they tell me there are going to be 100 people in the room, and there'd be 10 people in the room. And of those 10, 5 of them were other vendors just like me. So I learned how to network with the other vendors there. So man, in hindsight, I learned so much. But no, I was glad to fold that company up and not do that anymore.
You're like, we're done. On to the next.
Yes.
And so what had you stumble into working with female speakers? Because it's one thing to say, right, I'm going to go and spread, get on stage and talk about a message and be a speaker. But there's a real distinction between those people who want to just purely be a keynote speaker and speak to spread a message, and those who are then also inspired to have a coaching side and a development side where you're working with up and coming people to create that path. Where did that spark come from, where you thought, I think I want to work with some women too to set their businesses up?
That came way later. So initially I just loved ironically, I didn't love being in the front of the room, but I loved knowing that I had a voice that could help transform somebody's life. But when I first started speaking, I only wanted stage time. I didn't want coaching. I remember actually saying that out of my mouth, like, I never want to be a coach. You know why? Because I did not want to feel like a therapist. And I was like, I don't want to have to listen to people's problems and, the personal crosses into professional. And like, that wasn't what I signed up for. No, give me the microphone, give me 40 minutes on stage. I'm going to knock it out of the park and I'm going to go home and you're going to go home. And I remember saying this to another reputable speaker at the time. And I was like, still so new, probably 2 years in. And I made that statement. I got, no, I'm not coaching. I don't want to coach. I just want to speak. And the person said to me, well, how can you possibly do one without the other? Like if you speak without coaching, it literally is like you opening up a door for someone and saying, oh my God, look at all the treats and the goodies that are in here. Slam. I hope you figure out how to get in. That shifted everything for me. I was like, oh my God. Like it's truth that you can't get on a stage and inspire somebody that there's something greater on the opposite side of what they're currently experiencing, but then you don't offer them a way to help usher them into that greater. And when I discovered that, based on what that other speaker said to me, I was like, I will never say that again. And what I had to do over time was learn how to identify clients who were the right fit for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to work with the crazy people. I didn't want to work with the people who didn't want to show up and do the work. I didn't want to work with the people who, they could write me the check, but everything else, the frustration and the anguish that comes with working with them makes me not even want to do my job. I didn't want to do that. So over time, I was able to really map out who I wanted to work with. What did that look like? And really narrow that down so that it was still fun for me. Because if it's still fun for me, then I want to do it and I want to show up and I want to give that client my best. But once it stops being enjoyable or fun, guess what? Now I'm not giving you the best of me.
You're like, nah, I'm done. Mm-mm.
That's it.
I got to go to work. Nah, I remember what that feels like.
Right. It's like mentally, you've taken me back to when I was in that cubicle for 15 years. Like,
I built it myself too this time. Shit.
Yes, and yes.
So you're like talking about the entrepreneurial dream, not necessarily from, you've got the entrepreneurial dream in terms of building this big multinational corporation. However, I feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are sometimes underrepresented where the dream is really a little bit simpler than that. It's like, get up, make great money, doing stuff I love with people I love and not have to deal with any of the crap I don't want to deal with. Girl, it sounds like you found the code for that.
It took a long time to find that code. Now I'm like, I try to share the code with as many other women as I can because I'm like, you don't need to go through the anguish I went through. Let me cut the learning curve for you. That's the beautiful thing about speaking and coaching is that you get to share all the mess and the crap that you went through to help somebody else not have to go through that same mess and crap. Like they might go through their own mess and crap, but it doesn't have to be what you went through. So I think there's so much power in that, in us speaking up about what we know, what we experience, some of the potholes we fell into so that other person doesn't have to fall into those same potholes. And that's a beautiful thing. It's priceless, really.
True say, but now you've opened up your mouth and you mentioned dirty potholes and I want to find them. You set yourself up there, boo. I'm just gonna say you set yourself up. You said there was some dirty potholes and I'm sitting here, I'm like, Cheryl looking too shiny right now. She looking all polished and I need to find out, what did you learn, boo? Are you prepared to share with us some of the really bad potholes where you were like, oh, damn it.
Look,
really?
I think the top two for me was number one, my own trashy mindset. And when I say trashy, meaning it was just a bunch of garbage in my own mind about who I couldn't be. Oh, Cheryl, you can't show up as a giant in the world and make great impact because you come from scarcity. Mm-hmm. So I was letting my past hold me hostage in my mind, in my mentality. So because I grew up from nothing, basically from true scarcity, and I was the product of a single parent household, that was another strike against me. And then I didn't go off for 4 years of higher learning. So I didn't have all these letters behind my name. I didn't have a certificate that said I was good enough, smart enough, capable. So because I didn't have a college degree, all of this stuff mentally was in my mind, playing in my mind saying, you will never be a giant. You will never create impact in other people's lives. Man, that alone took me years to dig through that trashy mindset, that garbage that I was putting in, and learning that I could shift and I could create a new narrative. Like every one of us has the right to produce and direct and write the script of and be the hero of our own stories. We don't have to stay.
I love it.
Yeah,
the
we don't have to stay in the pain and the crap that we were in. So I had to really work through that because that impacted my money. So my mindset was impacting my ability to become profitable, because if you think you're nothing, how are you going to build something and convince somebody else that you're something? Like, what you believe of you is going to reflect in everything that you touch and everything that you produce. And if you don't believe you're enough, you don't believe you're worthy, you don't believe that somebody should be paying you for the value you bring in the marketplace, then that's exactly what you're going to manifest. And that's what
Problems.
I manifested. Yeah.
It's going to be problems. You saying that reminds me of an interview like a couple, 2 or 3 episodes back, Susan Armstrong. If you have not listened to that interview, like, it takes what Cheryl just said to like a whole nother level. So when I say Susan like turned into an alcoholic at like age 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
Like, seriously. So and now she's like multiple 6-figure speaker, speaks internationally, works with like really great name organizations, huge transformation in terms of like working through mindset. And I bring it up for 2 things. One, if it's something that you struggle with and you're hearing this like for the umpteenth time, listen to Susan's interview, because the way that she puts it, you'll just be like, damn. I mean, honestly, if that woman can do it, like anybody can do it, is the first thing. But the second thing I want to pick up from what you said is, it took a while, because I think sometimes we can beat ourselves up, right? It's like, it wasn't perfect today. And it can feel like, especially when you're looking at where everybody else is versus where you are right now, and you have those kind of moments of autopilot that kick in. I mean, I still have them where I'm like, oh, frick, I can't be bothered, or, you know, whatever kicks off. But understanding that it's not a case of, right, I worked really hard on that for like 2 months and now it's like banished for life.
Exactly. And a big part of my mindset shift was just simply the words I was saying to myself. And a lot of times the crazy part is that the words that you're saying will not be reflective of your current reality, which is what makes it so hard to keep fueling your mind with that thought. But that's the way the subconscious mind works. Whatever you tell it is what it's going to believe, right? So if you ever met someone who is a habitual liar, they have convinced themselves of the lies that they are expressing because their subconscious mind has taken over. They've said the lies so many times that they actually believe it to its core. But it's the same.
Like, I'm not lying. And you're like, you really, really, really are.
Absolutely. But it's the same way, works the same way with optimistic, positive, upbeat thinking that can kind of just X out all the toxic thinking you have. So I remember for a long time when I decided I wanted to step away from my full-time gig as a secretary and really be a full-time speaker, I used to wake up every day and I would say this mantra. And it was like, you know, Cheryl, you are a magnet for success. You are a magnet for wealth. You are a magnet for all great things. Somebody in the world is waiting for you to show up in your greatness. And then I would burst out laughing because I had to get up and get dressed and go to work. I'm like, what is this? What is this thing? I'm saying one thing, but my reality is completely the opposite of that. 6 months later, do you hear what I'm saying? Not 2 days later, not a week later, not 6 weeks later, 6 months later, I said the mantra and I didn't laugh. Instead, I was like, well, I started justifying the mantra. Like, well, I'm smart enough. I'm a smart girl. Why can't I? If I had the opportunity to pour 40 hours into my business, the way I'm putting 40 hours into somebody else's business, why couldn't I be a magnet for success? Why can't I? And that was the tipping point for me, to know that, wow, my subconscious mind is actually shifting. And now my steps can move in alignment with what I'm telling myself and what my belief systems are starting to believe and actually sink into my subconscious mind. So it's real. It's not just, oh, I speak it and I become it, but it is real work that you have to put in to shift your beliefs, your old patterns, your mindsets, your thought patterns, all that stuff, so that you can create a new mindset that says, I can become anything that I want to become.
Oh, love the way you put that. And I love the realness. So thank you for like your openness with it, because especially on the outside looking in, especially if somebody's like meeting you now and they see today's Cheryl, right? It's like, right. Whoa, you mean this chick used to have some of them, that funky thinking too? Oh, okay. If she can overcome the funky thinking, maybe I can overcome the funky thinking. But you told me there were 2 pit holes. I don't forget.
Okay, so that was number 1, mindset. The second one, which really was connected to mindset, was charging what I was worth.
Oh, girl.
And what I had to learn. So look, some keywords I had to learn. I am all out of free. Let me tell you, all out of free. And here's the second piece of that. And I no longer give any homie hookups. Come on. I'm just saying, no homie hookups, and I'm all out of free. Because I remember when I first started speaking.
If you're watching on the video, I can't stop laughing. Homie hookups and all out of free. I'm like, I ain't never heard it put like that before.
Look, when I first started speaking, I remember people would be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You were wonderful. I just got up on a stage and gave them my heart, my soul, my spirit, everything for 45 minutes. And I stepped off that stage and I didn't get a check. You know what I got? I got a ham sandwich and a thank you. Here's lunch. We're going to serve you lunch. So the only thing that was growing was my waistline, not my bank account. And I got tired of that. Like, this is not fair that when I leave my house, and I have 3 kids, so I'm married with 3 young children, and you're talking 10 years ago. Now they're teenagers, but they were babies. They were like 2, 3, and 6. And every time I walked out of my house, I'm like, okay, so when I leave my house to go do a speaking gig, basically I'm saying to my family, you are not my priority right now. And that is not fair for me to come back home and not have something that I've brought back of value to add to my family and my household. And I really had to get clear on why I was allowing myself and giving myself permission to be okay with somebody not writing me a check for the services that I was bringing into their company, their organization, their event.
Whoa. You know what? Money and it's a big thing. I mean, I worked in sales and I could tell you I had my own money shizzle I needed to work through. Like I remember the first time I started charging, it's like something jumped in my throat and just blocked my vocal cords. You know, I just couldn't get the words out. And I watch so many women, be it speakers or in other areas of business, and they're stuck on this rank, you know, and my frustration is this like the pay gap, the gender pay gap is like a thing that just grates me. And at the same time, I'm like, chicas, we're going to need to take some personal responsibility, because if all of us are okay with, for every woman who says yes to free stuff, who continues to not put themselves out here, doesn't ask for the pay rise, who doesn't just push that little bit further, just outside of their comfort zone, all we're doing is perpetuating it. What are we doing? Sitting back waiting for somebody to just throw money at us? I mean, I'm not being funny, but if I could get something for free, I ain't gonna pay for it.
Hello. As long as you give it for free, they will accept it for free. So you've got to know that there's value that you're bringing every time you take the stage, or whatever it is that you do, whatever you specialize in, there's value that you bring, and there should be a win-win. There should be some level of compensation that you receive because you are delivering something to them, right? It's almost like if you went to a job, I don't expect to go to my job and they don't give me a paycheck. Like, so what would make it okay as an entrepreneur that I go and deliver something of value and I don't walk away with some type of monetary compensation? So I agree with you.
You're serving. I'm like, girl, you running a charity.
Exactly.
And even the charities take money.
Even charities even charities take money. Yeah. So we got to learn, as women, we have to learn how to speak up about our value, be okay to put a hashtag, put a price tag on it. And we have to learn how to negotiate. And those are things that I believe as women entrepreneurs, we don't do very well. We're always diminishing what we're bringing to the table. We think somebody can do it better than us, or, oh, I haven't been doing it long enough, or, oh, there's all these excuses that we create about why we're not charging our worth and sticking to it. And we've got to make sure that we diminish that, again, toxic thinking about what we deserve when we're delivering a service, especially in comparison to our male counterparts. And a male counterpart, I see, because I work in the speaking industry, I see what the men generate. And I see they'll have no issue telling you what their fee is. And here's the second part. And they're okay with silence.
Oh, yeah, you got to say your fee and shut up.
Shut up. Stop talking. Don't backpedal out of what you just said because you heard silence and you got scared that silence meant, oh, they wouldn't pay you that. No.
Oh, don't even justify it either. You just say, this is my fee. And then you shut up and get comfortable with the silence.
That's it. But that's
because you know what? Either you squirm or they squirm. You just got to learn to not squirm first.
That's right. Come on.
Somebody be squirming, because they might be sitting there like, oh, shit, I really want her too. How much?
But that's the power of negotiation. Because if they really want you bad enough, they're going to negotiate. I'll give a prime example. So I just recently spoke for NASA. My speaker fee is $10,000 for a keynote presentation, which typically is somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes. Well, they didn't have 10,000, but they had 9,500. Hello, do y'all think I negotiated that? Do you think I negotiated some other monetary concessions so that, yes, that would still make sense? So they were able to pay me almost 100% of my actual full speaker fee, but then they also ordered 125 copies of my book so that their attendees could get that book autographed, signed on site after I spoke. Yeah. So that was still a huge win, but you have to be willing to negotiate and understand that everything is negotiable.
Oh, girl, you've been giving so much value. We only just getting warmed up. I mean, seriously. And honestly, I can't thank you enough for like your authenticity, because there are so many women who are looking up to other people and seeing what they're up to, but we don't often get to hear some of the real raw stories behind it, where it's like, girl, that fee thing, that was a problem for me too. But it's like, it's human. It's a human thing. Like even the ladies, even the women at the top have been having problems at the same shizzle. So that's no excuse for you to settle. All it says is it may be a bit of a journey, but if you commit to the journey of moving beyond these things, like a whole world of possibility be opening up, which moves me on to my next question, girl. Because you ain't shy in stepping forward in the slightest. So from your perspective, what is it that makes a woman powerful?
Oh, I think just making the decision about what you want and being willing to be courageous and tenacious enough to go after it. Like, even with all of your doubts, even with all of your fears, like a lot of women that I work with, it's, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear that they're inadequate, fear that nobody's going to buy, whatever. Just putting that aside and saying, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, there's a book that actually is called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Love that book.
Yeah, we have to do that. We have to be willing to just kind of bulldoze through every fear and insecurity and limiting belief that we have perhaps grown up with, and say, I'm going to try it anyway, and I'm going to see what happens. And I think giving ourselves that permission to be amazing, and permission without someone else's validation.
Ooh.
You are hilarious. Permission.
Like, that one hit me in the gut.
Oh.
It was like, boom. Permission without somebody else's validation. Damn.
That self-permission is more powerful than anything. That's what truly makes you powerful, because there will be some toxic people around you as you're elevating to go to another level. I remember when I first started speaking, there were some speakers who I just admired so much. And I used to always go to these conferences, and I would be the person in the audience crying because I knew I really wanted to be on stage. I just didn't know how to get there. And so there were these speakers that I admired and looked up to. And there were times when those same speakers I admired and revered looked straight through me as though I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Because I was at the starting line. And I had to, I remember my husband saying, girl, if you're gonna really be in business, you gotta get a backbone. You better get some thick skin, because, I was hurt that they didn't embrace me and mentor me and teach me. And that's what I thought I was going to get. And I didn't get that with a lot of people. And I think it was because my voice was so powerful, not my sound of my voice, but what I was saying. And I was so raw and so authentic and just so real. And it was something different in the marketplace. And people were giving bullet points, but I was telling stories.
Yeah.
Right? Because people remember and repeat stories, not bullet points. Mm-hmm. So it was like I was interrupting the marketplace. And for some people that didn't feel good because they didn't have a capacity to celebrate something new, something different. Somebody else was on the rise. So that was a great source of frustration for me when I first started. But I was like, okay, I got to a point. I can't wait on anybody else to validate that I'm good enough just as I am. I have to give myself that permission and just blaze through this thing and figure it out.
Ooh, the chills right up my arms, right up my back, all through my head. I'm like, ooh, girl, boom, like in my stomach. Okay. Oh, Lord. So we, sometimes y'all be like, I don't know how I pick my guests, but sometimes my guests be leaving me speechless. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just layers on like levels and stuff. And it can be stuff that you've heard before, but like hearing it differently with the context, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, wow, thank you. So I'm going to take you to the mean place right now, because what I really want to understand is we've been having a really great conversation, but I kind of want you to take your whole life like your whole life up until now, personally and in business, and tell me what made it so successful in like literally just 3 things.
So what made me so successful in 3 things?
Yeah, like they can be strategies, tools, techniques, ways of being,
Yeah.
but literally like 3 things. I call them your power tools that are pivotal to your success in life and business. Like what would be the first one?
One is definitely intentional visibility. There's a quote that I share constantly. It's my own quote, and it says, visibility will always trump ability. Because visibility is the thing that will get your foot in the door, and then your ability will keep you there. But in order for you to get the opportunity to demonstrate the ability, you first got to get the foot in the door, which means you got to be visible. So intentional visibility. I think I would say my number 2 would be just authenticity, like really sharing your mess and your success. Not just telling people about the big you, but then not telling them how did I get here? Where did I start? Like you got to tell them what I call what's in the middle. What happened in the middle? A lot of times people are only sharing their beginning and their end. Oh, this is where I started. Oh, and now look at me. And people understand there's so many chapters that happen in the middle of that. So tell the middle, share your story, incorporate the mess that you've been through, because your mess becomes your connection to the audience, any audience, whether you're doing a webinar, a seminar, whenever you're sharing what you know, your mess becomes your connection. And then it's your success that becomes your credibility. So the person knows that you can help them.
I never heard somebody talk about I mean, we've had earlier, actually, who was it? One of my other guests talk about your mess being your message. That would have been, it'll come back to me in a moment. The episode just before this one, literally. Elaine, your mess being your message. But your mess being your connection, like the road to your connection. I haven't heard it put like that before. That's a new one for me. Somebody else may have heard it before.
You can get on a stage and you can give me bullet points, facts, figures, stats, and data all day long. That's going to make a head-to-head connection, but it's not going to hit my heart. So I need you to hit my heart, because when people are listening to you, especially for those who are speakers, the people who are in the audience are looking at you and they want to be able to see themselves in you, so that you give them a glimmer of hope and possibility that, oh, well, I can achieve that too. That's what they want. That's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. But how do you give them that if you don't share the mess? So the mess is the thing that connects you to their heart, their heartstrings. And then everything that you've accomplished and achieved, that success, is the credibility to say, hey, I actually have a viable solution where I can help you go from where you are to where you want to be as well. So
bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom.
And I think my number 3 would just be meeting people where they are, not assuming that every customer, every client is going to be at the same starting line. No, there are varying starting lines. And so you have to meet them where they are by offering them a menu of options. So it's not you have to choose this one thing or you can't work with me. No, you got to have a menu of options. And some of those might be layered in terms of price point. Some of them might be layered in terms of accessibility to you, but there has to be a menu.
And in that, right? So I've heard this idea of menu before. What happens is understanding how to split that out, right? Because when, at least in my experience, okay, just my humble experience, when one goes upon a journey, one's clients tend to vary. It's like who I enjoyed working with 6 months ago, I don't know that I want to work with them again. Like that was an old Lovelda. She is no longer here. She has passed on. She has evolved into a new version, and the new version of Lovelda, she doesn't do that anymore. So when it comes to creating a menu of products, how do you do that with your second thing, which is authenticity, where it's still something that you're connected with, that you want to do in a way that doesn't feel like, that still allows you to evolve, right? And still allows you to have that place to grow into without you kind of being, okay, I got my menu, this is what it looks like. Yeah. Can you get what I mean? Like, how do you find that balance, especially in a coaching kind of consulting environment where you're growing yourself as well so rapidly that what you enjoyed talking about before and what you enjoyed coaching people on before, it's like, oh man, no, I can't do that anymore. It's like teaching people how to, like, I'm now doing my PhD and they want me to teach kindergarteners. Yeah. Like, it's not about saying one's better than the other. It's just, you get to a certain place where there's things that excite you now and you don't want to talk about the old stuff no more.
I'm going to free you guys right now. I'm going to free somebody with this statement. You have the right to divorce the things that no longer serve you well.
Oh, thank you.
Period. You have the right to divorce the things that no longer serve you well. If it is not serving you in the season that you're in, you have a right to say that no longer serves me. I am now reinventing myself. So I think constantly going through a phase of reinvention and allowing your customers to come along with you, that's a beautiful ride. That's a beautiful journey. A leader is someone who's constantly blazing new trails, someone who is current with what's happening now, with what's trending now, with what people need and what's relevant now. So if I'm going out to the marketplace right now, for example, and I'm teaching people how to be great speakers on stage at live events, that's not relevant. We're in COVID-19. Hello. Like, no, there are no live stages. So how do I keep myself relevant and still excited about what I'm teaching and training? I make little tweaks. And so now the little tweak is I'm teaching people how to show up powerfully through virtual training, through virtual stages, not live stages. I'm teaching people how to create their own courses and programs and virtual offerings that they can sell in the marketplace so they can still create revenue. So it's just about reinvention, being innovative enough to stay current with what's happening and what your customers are needing now, and giving yourself that permission to walk away from the things that just aren't serving you well anymore. Growth is a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah.
You are now, like, we have now anointed you like free to make your own decisions and divorce your past.
Yes.
You don't even have to take that to court. We're going to let you do it on your own terms.
I'm giving you a hand clap for that. Absolutely.
Girl, you bringing out my crazy. So there'll be people listening here who are just like, that is just my little, that's a nice little blend of fun and vibrancy with a lot of depth and experience. And whatever Cheryl is eating, I want some of it. I need to be around it. So how do people connect? What's the best way for people to connect in with you?
Yeah, they can connect with me at CherylEmpowers.com. That's my website. There's a freebie there if you want to grab your signature story template, because I think your story has to be a part of anything that you're doing and anything that you're trying to offer in the marketplace. So go grab that. And then you can connect with me on all the social media platforms at Cheryl Empowers.
Bada bing, bada boom. And if you forgot any of that, it's in the show notes. I'm good like that. I put all of the stuff like in the notes, like clickable and stuff. So you can just like,
bada bing, bada boom. Like she said,
bada bing, bada boom. Just go on there, just click on it, get right in there, get your story, ba boomed up. Cheryl, my goodness, Chica, we have covered so much today, like so much. I mean, how do we wrap this up? And by we, I mean you.
You know what? I'm going to wrap it up by, there's a quote that I love by Maya Angelou. And she says, pursue the things you love doing and do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. And so I want each and every one of you to give yourselves permission to walk in your unique lane of brilliance and to adopt this saying, this mantra that I use, which is, I am capable. I am worthy. I am enough just as I am. So get out into the world and be great and be enough just as you are.
Oh, unique brand of brilliance. Oh, the chills. My goodness. Whee! You heard it here first. Dr. Cheryl Wood, she told you, you better go out there and you embrace, that's the key word. Embrace your unique brand of brilliance. Ain't nothing you got to change. You better keep it exactly as you are and go out there. Make sure people know your name. You ain't going down without somebody. A lot of people knowing who you are and what you're about. You've been listening to the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. If you have not yet clicked that subscribe button, if you have not got over to our YouTube channel, if you have not left a review, I'm almost tempted not to do the next episode. Get over there, click them buttons, make sure you hit that bell. And guess what, Chicas? I'm going to see you in the next episode.